Medieval power was brutal, but even by the standards of the Middle Ages, some deaths were meant to send a message. In a stone cell in Corfe Castle, a woman and her young son were locked inside. No trial, no sentence, no executioner. They were simply left to starve. This is the story of Maud de Braose, a noblewoman whose defiance of a king turned her into one of the most infamous victims of royal vengeance in British history. Maud de Braose was born Maud de Saint Valery around 1155 into a powerful Anglo-Norman family with deep roots in the Welsh marshes. The marshes were not England, they were a frontier society, violent, semi-independent, and ruled by men and women who understood power in its rawest form. Martial lords built castles without royal permission, waged private wars, and administered their own justice. Maud grew up in this world, where survival depended on strength, alliances, and nerve. She would need all three of these. Maud married William de Braose, 4th Lord of Bramber, one of the greatest marcher magnates of the late 12th century. Together, they controlled an enormous swathe of territory: Corfe Castle in Sussex, Abergavenny, and lands across Brecon, Radnor, and Gower. The de Braose family were not minor nobles, they were kingmakers, and sometimes king-breakers. Crucially, Maud was not silent within this marriage. Contemporary chronicles describe her as outspoken, politically aware, and unafraid to challenge authority, including royal authority. The turning point in Maud's life was King John of England. John was paranoid, vindictive, and obsessed with loyalty. At first, the de Braose family prospered under King John, but relations soured rapidly. In 1208, William de Braose quarrelled with his friend and patron, King John. The reason is not known, but it is alleged that Maud made indiscreet comments regarding the murder of King John's nephew, Duke Arthur I of Brittany. This made her deeply dangerous. She publicly accused John of having murdered his nephew, Arthur of Brittany, the boy who had a legitimate claim to the English throne. Whether John killed Arthur personally or merely ordered his death remains debated. But in the medieval world, saying this out loud was unforgivable. Maud did not whisper it, she did not hint, she said it openly. There was also a large sum of money, around 5,000 marks, de Braose owed the king. Whatever the reason, John demanded Maud's son, William, be sent to him as hostage for her husband's loyalty. Maud refused, and stated loudly within earshot of the king's officers that, quote, she would not deliver her children to a king who had murdered his own nephew. Incensed, the king quickly led troops to the Welsh border and seized all of the castles that belonged to William de Braose. John demanded enormous financial penalties, seized de Braose castles, and took hostages from the family. Maud and her eldest son William fled to Ireland, where they found refuge at Trim Castle with the de Lacys, the family of her daughter Margaret. In 1210, King John sent an expedition to Ireland. Maud and her son escaped but were apprehended in Galloway by Donnacha, Earl of Carrick. After being briefly held at Carrickfergus Castle, they were dispatched to England. Maud and her son, William de Braose the Younger, were first imprisoned in Windsor Castle, and then they were imprisoned in Corfe Castle in Dorset. John ordered that a sheaf of oats and one piece of raw bacon be given to them. He did not allow them to have any more food. John did not order their execution. He ordered something worse. They were sealed inside a cell and left to starve. After 11 days, the mother was found dead between her son's legs. Her son, who was also dead, was found sitting upright, but leaning against the wall. Chroniclers record that when their bodies were later found, the boy had died clinging to his mother. Maud had been driven to chewing her own flesh. This was not justice, it was terror, a warning to every noble family in England. Understandably, Maud's death horrified even hardened medieval observers. Starving a noblewoman and child to death violated feudal norms, violated Christianity morality, and violated aristocratic custom. It shattered what little trust remained between King John and his barons. Her death became part of the growing outrage that would, only a few years later, force John to accept the Magna Carta. When King John was forced to sign it in 1215, it contained Clause 39, which states, "No man shall be taken, imprisoned, outlawed, banished, or in any way destroyed, nor will we proceed against or prosecute him, except by the lawful judgments of his peers, or by the law of the land." Sadly, Maud did not live to see it, but her fate helped make it inevitable. Maud de Braose was likely buried in an unmarked or unobscured circumstances. There was no tomb worthy of her status, no monument, but memory did not fade. Chroniclers returned to her story again and again, not as scandal, but as moral indictments of kingship gone wrong. She became a symbol of unchecked royal cruelty, of the vulnerability of even the powerful, of the consequences of speaking truth to power. Maud de Braose is remembered not because she ruled castles, but because she challenged her king. She reminds us that medieval women understood politics, participated in power struggles, and even paid the price when they lost. Her death exposes the lie that medieval authority was orderly and honourable. It was personal, it was vicious, and sometimes it was deliberately cruel. Maud de Braose did not die quietly. She died as a warning. This has been a long look at Maud de Braose. Please like, comment and subscribe, and until next time, take care.